It says the Pentagon considers tasking Musk's SpaceX with military missile tracking satellite program. And then it says let me just read a couple quotes and get your thoughts. It says his SpaceX company is reported to be about to considerably expand its share of military business as the Pentagon considers overhauling a program to deploy hundreds of missile tracking satellites into low orbit. The Washington Post, quote, competitors have fallen so far behind SpaceX that many fear they won't be able to catch up, leaving NASA and the Pentagon with few other options as it faces increased competition in space from China and other nations. Musk's hard-charging company rakes in billions of dollars from the U.S. government, flying everything from cargo to astronauts to some of the Defense Department's most sensitive satellites. The company also operates more than 7,000 Starlink internet satellites in orbit, more than any other entity. The SpaceX Falcon 9 is the most reliable rocket in space exploration history. And then it goes down and it says large satellites, which are currently the Pentagon has, are vulnerable to attack. So the Pentagon is opting for swarms of smaller satellites, hard to target and providing redundancy where they are. The missile warning system is expected to have between 300 to 500 satellites in low Earth orbit. SpaceX won the majority of the Lane 2 contracts that run through 2029, but the Pentagon is expected to increasingly go with SpaceX since the Falcon 9 is very reliable. So, Gary, how does this play in? Does this play in at all to prophetic developments?
Well, you know, when you read the Old Testament, the prophets looking forward to the New Testament, Daniel, for example, talks about a certain quality of leadership that will rise in the latter days. Mm-hmm. And of course, the idea of men just like Elon Musk, very wealthy, very influential, very bright, people who are type A, and there are several of them on the face of the planet today who would love to put their the collective knowledge together and under the rubric of, if we get together and calm the world down and control the ebb and flow of weaponry and of global economics, we can have world peace.
Yeah, that's the idea. And what do we know? We know that just prior to the arrival of the day of the Lord, they'll be saying peace and safety. And then sudden destruction comes upon.
You've quoted the right scripture.
Yeah, 1 Thessalonians 5. And it's, sudden destruction will come upon them, not us. Yeah. And so what I find interesting here, Gary, and we don't need to spend a long time on this, is just that in talking about the 10 kings of Revelation 17 and Daniel chapter 7, I think that I do believe, and again, not necessarily right, but I do believe these 10 kings are not kings in the traditional sense, but they are influencers, they're figures. And we know Revelation 17:13 says there's going to come a time when it says clearly that these 10 figures, these 10 influencers, with how do you influence? Money, wealth, technology. It says they will give over to the Antichrist their capabilities and their power. And so what you're seeing here with Musk now getting involved potentially, or being involved in the Pentagon from a military perspective. So when you come on that day, and I'm not saying he's going to own these, but he's going to have the technology to deliver it and everything else. And on that day by then it could be 20,000 Starlink satellites, and he comes to the Antichrist, and the Antichrist says, hey, look, and I believe this will happen in the midpoint of the tribulation. Hey, I need to have the ability to track and to surveil. And somebody like Musk will say, I can handle that. I can hand over to you all of my technological abilities for you to surveil and to keep track of everything in the implementation of the mark of the beast, et cetera, et cetera. So when we see these things with this expanding of these technocrats into these other fields, it just fits very nicely in what we expect.
Now, I just have to point out that the way you laid out a scenario here makes the rapture of the church pretty close.
Even sooner, doesn't it?
It does.
Yep.
Because the rapture of the church has to happen before all of Ezekiel and Daniel's prophecies really roll into full scale. And so you're really inadvertently saying, look up. Your redemption draws near.
We are the prophecy watchers, Gary. I mean, this is
we
what
are.
we do, right?